Nobody to land at the airport. We've had a crash.
It hit that car and it blew up, and then the plane went on across and skidded across the freeway. It still had its landing gears down.
As night fell, the crash site took on the eerie look of a well-lit movie set, except this was real, and they kept finding more bodies.
There's a lot of people that weren't moving that I presumed they were dead.
Nothing but dead bodies all over the place.
Authorities at DFW Airport agree there has never been a crash here as bad as this.
The crash of Delta Flight 191 in August of 1985 is the worst airfield disaster in DFW history. 137 people are killed. Only 29 on board survive. But the crash sparks a desire on the part of the airport's public safety personnel to transform tragedy into training, and it will make a difference in the future.
All of our guys were asking themselves, what more could I have done to save more people? We had some survivors, but that's not good enough. We want them all.
The airport invests $30 million in the Fire Training and Research Center. It's a hands-on training facility that brings firefighters from around the world to DFW.
We get to recreate what's real in training. We try to give them the most real circumstances as possible, but still a safe environment.
We train people from, it's now over 30 countries and 38 states. More than 18,000 firefighters from around the world have trained here, and this is recognized as probably the top aircraft rescue firefighting center in the entire world.
The techniques taught here pay off big time when Delta 1141 crashes on takeoff in 1988.
Passengers came off that broken fuselage getting hit with foam as they were coming off. They reported that that the fire department was already there and that they had a clear path to escape, and we had 80 some odd survivors off of that aircraft and far fewer fatalities.
In fact, 94 passengers survived the crash. 14 people are killed. But the two crashes at DFW generate a number of improvements in aviation safety used worldwide. Wind shear warning systems are installed in cockpits. Airports now use Doppler radar. There's also improved pilot training, firefighting equipment, and enhanced communication systems. Officials believe what's learned at DFW's training center helps to save thousands of lives around the world. And the world is coming to DFW. A shower reception greets Emirates Airlines as it flies into DFW for the first time. It's just one of 12 international carriers added to the arrival boards at DFW over the last several years. It's a trend line airport officials count on to ensure a bright economic future.
I think the public should realize that we have a gem here, a jewel, that has given the Dallas-Fort Worth area and the Mid-Cities area the capability to compete on a global stage with any city in the world.
DFW Airport board member Sam Coates has been there since the beginning. He's held positions with Braniff, Texas International, Continental Airlines, MuseAir, and Southwest Airlines. He's watched DFW grow from just a handful of airlines to now 23 carriers. They fly to 56 international destinations and 147 domestic ones. It has 7 runways, 155 gates, and 5 terminals. More than 60 million passengers and 652 million tons of cargo pass through the airport every year. In short, DFW Airport is big business. Its impact on the economy is huge.
It's about $32 billion a year to the local economy, and that will grow. It's 150,000 jobs that are attributed just to the airport alone. They have about a $9 billion payroll out there. It's pretty significant.
I believe it's the most important hard asset we have in attracting businesses.
DFW is the engine of growth for the Metroplex, and a lot of that is the international traffic.
You can fly to any international city essentially from here or make connections to them. You can fly to any U.S. city in 4 hours or less.
It's hard to find a Fortune 500 company that's based here that doesn't cite the fact of good connections throughout the United States. And our central location means that you don't have to go all the way across the United States to a branch office. You only have to go half the way across the United States.
Can I get a side of wasabi?
One of the side benefits of the economic engine is minority business development. 36% of the airport's contracts go to minority and women-owned businesses. DFW is spending $2.3 billion to renovate and improve 4 of its 5 terminals. So far, 39% of that work has gone to minority-owned businesses. It's a record officials are proud of.
Our minority and focus on women-owned companies and contractors is one of the best programs of any airport in the U.S.
Airport's done a really good job at minority business development, an excellent job of doing that.
They've gotten every award imaginable for minority business development. They have clear standards and ways to do it so there's not surprises. But most importantly, okay, we've done it with a sense of quality.
I would rate the airport a good B, but I would give all the public agencies a B. I don't think anyone can say we have done a tremendous job.
Tom Lazo, former president of the Greater Dallas Area Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, says the airport board has done a tremendous job of promoting and hiring minorities and developing future leaders. But he's still waiting to see the day when minority-owned businesses are prime contractors, not just subs, and their ethnicity or gender is no longer a factor.
I am hopeful. I've been at this now for 30 years, you know, and sometimes, Doug, it's really, for me personally, you know, I said, I'm still selling as a minority. When will I be selling as just Tom Lazo as a businessman? You know, when am I going to be considered they're good enough to do the job? They don't need to be minority.
But I think it's a fair criticism, and I think it's one of those natures of basic economics that, you know, you can't give a contract so big it's going to bankrupt that company, and you've got to make sure that that company has the resources to do the projects.
The face of DFW Airport is changing. That's next. But first, feeling the pulse of the public to make things better. Stay with us.
Would you guys like wasabi or extra plates or anything?
Customer satisfaction is a big deal at the big airport. DFW routinely interviews passengers to find out what will make their travel experience better.
It's in our best interest to have those customers come back. So what we do is we research and we find out what is it that they're looking for in terms of the concessions.
Order 162. Somebody went for 162. Thank you. Have a nice day.
What are they looking for when they spend their money and their time at the airport? What kind of food are they wanting?
161.
What kind of shopping do they like? Do they want a massage? These days you can come, as you saw, and you can take a nap for an hour. If you have downtime between flights, the options are pretty much endless within the airport.
Airport executives want to make sure passengers are pleased because customer satisfaction is part of their pay package.
Well, our employees are all bonused off of customer satisfaction, so that shows you how important it is.
One customer complaint was rectified years ago when the airport scuttled its system for moving passengers and bags from one terminal to another.
For transient passengers and for passengers wishing to move from place to place within the airport, there is an internal automated transit system called AirTrans.
The AirTrans system ultimately was scrapped, replaced by buses. Now Skylink moves passengers from one terminal to another in 5 minutes or less.
The first and most important thing that was done at DFW Airport to help American Airlines with connecting traffic was the Skylink. Skylink was a game changer at DFW. It really made it much more possible for us to run DFW as a hub.
Skylink is just one of many improvements underway to make DFW a totally passenger-friendly airport. This August, Dallas passengers will be able to take DART to the airport. A DART station is going in at Terminal A. If you drive to the airport, the parking lots are being renovated. New lighting makes it easy to tell if a spot is open or not. Things are also changing inside the terminals.
What we've discovered over the years is that from the time the airport was opened in 1974, the space needs for the airport itself have really changed. In those days, you had no requirement for security, but you had a big requirement for airline ticketing positions, a whole row of them, 50 agents wide for people to check in. Well, now people check in themselves with a kiosk and a machine. With a credit card, they check in, they get their boarding pass. You don't need that many ticket agents, so we can reallocate that space for other things, like security, like concessions, and just make that more adaptable to the modern travel experience.
While some passengers seem a bit perplexed by the kiosks and require agent assistance, others find the new check-in process a welcome change.
I would characterize it as quick and convenient.
Less lines, much more efficient.
I think it looks a lot better. I don't know, there are no lines.
Thank you for visiting the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport.
The TSA security checkpoints that used to jam up terminal entryways and hallways are being replaced by more user-friendly checkpoints.
The checkpoint has long been, over the last 10 years, one of the things that passengers hate the most about going to the airport. You know it and I know it, and so we took a look at that and said, how can we make it better?
Remember 311. All liquids, gels, and aerosols must be in 3-ounce or less size containers.
So we partnered with Security Point, Digital Media, Marriott, Spring Hill Suites, and of course the TSA to redesign what the checkpoint looks like. And so now you go in there and there's nice lighting, there's mood lighting, it changes colors, and there's nice artwork on the walls, and there are monitors to tell you how long before you get to the person or how long before you get to the line. There are leather seating, on both ends to help you, with your taking your stuff off and putting your stuff back on, and sound showers to tell you what's coming up. And so what you have is a much better level of experience as you go through the checkpoint. You have TSA agents from all over the airport that have asked to come work at this one because it's more pleasant.
The end of the security check area is more like a living room than a police station. Sofas and tables make it easier to get yourself back together before boarding your flight. Some people notice the difference.
I fly a lot, and so this is definitely the nicest seat outside of security that I've ever sat on before.
And some don't.
Seems the same to me. I can't tell. All I know is there's the same machinery.
Yeah.
Everything's the same.
But you're on a couch here.
Oh, well, this is nicer.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I noticed it was nicer.
Yeah. It looks newer.
Modern artwork, such as this sound sculpture, are scattered throughout Terminal D. You can walk through the art or on top of it, depending on where you are. Terminal D is the prototype for what airport officials want in all the terminals. The hallways are wide, awash with sunlight, and with all the shops and concessions, one would think this is a shopping mall that just happens to be attached to an airport. For the weary traveler fatigued by a long overseas flight or layover, there's Minute Suites, where you can get a shower and some rack time in a small bedroom for $34 an hour.
We provide Netflix, Wi-Fi, and here's a couch bed. If you pull it out, it makes 2 beds.
Stressed out? Head for the yoga studio, all free in Terminal D. Passengers can enjoy most any type of cuisine, from fast food to fine dining. And the airport has a firm policy against gouging captive customers. Prices can be no more than 10% above street value, if at all. Yearly gross revenues for some of the restaurants in Terminal D show why an airport concession is a big business. As of last August, McDonald's and TGI Fridays both grossed more than $4 million each. Even Starbucks brought in over $1 million. You can buy a dress, a shirt, a piece of jewelry, even duty-free booze, or electronic gadgets to keep you in touch. It's no longer just gum, candy, and magazines.
The goal here, depending on what you're looking at, is really to give a whole range, a wide array of options, whether we're talking food, shopping, rest and relaxation, allowing you to sit in a comfort zone, charge up your iPhone, charge up your computer. If you want to do work and get something done, if you want to turn this into your home office or your work office while you're waiting for your flight, that's the goal of the airport, to allow you to continue your lifestyle while you're here at the airport.
Board member Sam Coates says innovative concessions can be a giant revenue stream for an airport.
I was in Incheon in Seoul, Korea earlier this year, and they have more concession revenue than our operating budget. They have one story, I think it's either Louis Vuitton or another high-end store that does over $300,000 a day in revenue.
The improvements are not going unnoticed. Passengers can tell the difference between DFW and other airports around the country.
Phoenix, a few of the other ones still very 1970s, 1980s-ish. And DFW's doing a lot of improvements to update and modernize.
Is it more efficient, faster for you?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, it's easy in and out. I live in Denton, so I'm here in a half an hour and on a plane within an hour.
It's probably one of the nicer airports I've been through. They've got a lot of variety, which is neat.
It's very nice. It's big. I've flown in here a few times, had a few layovers, and there's plenty to do while you're here, no problem.
The $2.3 billion Terminal Renovation and Improvement Program, or TRIP, also includes Gateway Plaza, now under construction on the south end of the airport. It will house a new airport administration building, a third hotel, and lots of space for commercial development. The Dallas Cowboys have a merchandise processing center already on airport property. There's also a flight training facility for pilots. Parking, concessions, rental cars, and commercial development are four big revenue generators for the airport. Collectively, they bring in $258 million a year. Looking ahead, DFW looks overseas. But first, it may face some challenges at home. That's next.